Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into the incredibly multidimensional world of human intelligence. We're going to look at something that completely shatters how we usually measure brain power. And honestly, it might just change how you view your own potential forever.
All right, so let's kick things off with a question that kind of challenges everything you might currently believe about how your mind works. Think about this. What if the absolute most important type of intelligence is one you've literally never even tried to develop? We spend years and years in school honing very specific skills, right? But what if we completely miss the most crucial one?
To really wrap our heads around this, we actually have to start by debunking a massive myth. Here is a brutal truth, straight from cognitive psychology. Intelligence is not just one single, fixed ability. You aren't just born with a static level of smartness that dictates the rest of your life. And it definitely isn't just a single number stamped on your forehead at birth.
Just think about traditional IQ for a second. It's so often misunderstood as just, logical reasoning or having good math skills. Society and standardized tests usually trap us in this really rigid definition, but cognitive science actually paints a much more dynamic picture. The hard truth here? You might be an absolute genius in one specific area of life and totally average in another, simply because intelligence actually manifests in multiple, entirely different ways.
The 5 types of IQ, and why the 5th is the rarest.
Number 1.
We're starting off with Logical-Analytical IQ. This is basically the standard. We're talking pattern recognition, mathematical reasoning, and abstract thinking. People who are really strong here, think of your top-tier coders, financial analysts, or grandmaster chess players, they excel at strategy and deeply structured systems. It's exactly what we traditionally picture when someone says the word intelligence. And no surprise, our schools are practically built from the ground up to reward this exact list of skills. But it's really just one piece of the puzzle.
Number 2.
Moving away from numbers, we step into the realm of the communicators with verbal linguistic IQ. This is the super rare ability to think entirely in words. For persuasive speakers, gifted writers, and compelling storytellers, language isn't just for talking. It actually becomes their primary cognitive tool for understanding hidden meanings. They can take incredibly complex, tangled ideas and articulate them crystal clearly to just about anyone.
Number 3. Now, there is a really fascinating contrast between our second and third types, because while some of us process the world entirely through sentences and those subtle linguistic meanings we just talked about, others process it completely through images, literally mentally rotating objects in their mind's eye.
We call this spatial visual IQ, or the intelligence of the architects. It's all about deep spatial processing. Engineers, designers, artists, they use this sensory dimension to vividly construct realities right in their heads. They have this unique ability to see physical structures perfectly in their mind, long before those structures ever exist in the real world. Honestly, it's a highly creative and just fascinating way to process reality.
Number 4.
Emotional IQ, or the connectors. You probably know this as EQ. This dimension bridges the gap between individuals. It reflects the ability to accurately recognize and manage emotions, navigate really complex social dynamics, and read subtle behavioral cues. It is heavily linked to massive leadership and relationship success. Think of a highly effective CEO or a master crisis negotiator. It works because it allows you to connect with others and regulate your own reactions under immense pressure. It is undeniably powerful, right? But, surprisingly, it's still not the rarest form of intelligence.
Which brings us to number 5.
The rarest intelligence? Metacognition.
We've finally reached the climax of our cognitive journey today. This is where things get wild, because we shift from mastering the external world, the numbers, the words, the structures, the people, to completely mastering the internal one. Metacognitive IQ is the ability to actually think about your own thinking, actively question your assumptions, and quietly monitor personal biases. So the really crucial point here is that while most people blindly trust their default initial thoughts, highly intelligent metacognitive thinkers actively analyze how they think. They don't just accept the first conclusion their brain hands them.
Instead, they regularly pause and ask themselves, okay, is this actually true, or is this just how I feel right now? They use this incredibly powerful internal dialogue to constantly test their reality against their emotions. It's a profound way to ensure their decisions are based on objective facts, rather than just fleeting, subjective feelings.
Psychologists actually have a term for this phenomenon. They call it cognitive detachment.
It is the ability to step back and observe your own thinking as if it is completely separate from you. When you have cognitive detachment, you intentionally adjust your mental strategies the exact second you realize you're wrong. Instead of getting super defensive or doubling down on a mistake, you just observe the error from a distance and effortlessly course correct. It's a total game changer.
And that adjustment usually involves asking one simple recurring question: what am I missing? By constantly asking themselves this, metacognitive thinkers actively check for blind spots and gaps in their own knowledge. They never just assume they have the full picture. And by doing so, they completely destroy overconfidence. They actually welcome being wrong, because to them, it just means they're about to learn something new.
The real power of metacognition lies in this incredibly rare combination of skills: intense self-awareness, intellectual humility, and cognitive flexibility. Look, most people think, but very, very few people overcome their default assumptions to analyze how they think. And that is exactly what makes this fifth type of IQ so deeply powerful when it comes to navigating complex modern life.
The absolute rarest individuals out there do something far more powerful than solving equations or moving crowds. They master their own minds. Ultimately, what this material proves is that intelligence is brilliantly multidimensional. Sure, some can visualize the unseen and some can brilliantly articulate the complex. But true cognitive evolution, that happens when you finally learn to observe yourself.
So, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to really reflect on today. Which of these 5 types of IQ do you rely on the most in your everyday life? Like, are you the analyst, the communicator, the architect, the connector, or the metacognitive observer? Drop your number in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. And remember, always keep questioning how you think.